Alrighty, welcome back to another week of Hit the Gap, episode 2 for 2025. Just had round 3. Yeah, round 3 conclude. I'll get a bit confused with the Vegas round, splitting the first round up. Couple big scores, couple average games, I guess. Yeah, a couple turnarounds too. I wouldn't say surprises, but turnarounds and form from a few teams. But yeah.
Yeah, look, I'd say, I guess the turnaround side of things, yeah, there's definitely a few teams that really kicked themselves in the backside after the last 2 weeks. Um, yeah, we've obviously got our own cows. They put up a significantly better effort despite not getting the win. They still put up a much better effort. You'd probably have to argue the Warriors.
Yeah.
Warriors really took it to those Roosters. Jesus Christ, did they take it to the Roosters?
Yeah.
Oh, there was another one. I think even the Eels really turned it on as well. And
Manly and Raiders was the other big one for me, I thought, after what we'd seen from both teams the week prior anyway. I mean, especially Raiders since Vegas. They've looked pretty decent, but...
Boy, did Ricky have something to say about that one.
Oh, it just could not strike a blow, unfortunately, for them.
Classic stick.
Yeah. We'll go back and have a quick squiz from Thursday night's match, which was Panthers and the Storm. Storm coming out on top, 30 points to 24 in that one. That one was actually probably my game of the round, I think.
This was by far my game.
Yeah, lots to it, really. I mean, lost Cleary pretty early in the game, 15, 20 minutes into the game. And I think from there, Melbourne probably thought it would be all too easy, but Penrith really stuck it to them. Obviously had Cogger. Cogger sort of jumped into the 7, moved into the 7 role, while young Blaze Talangi actually got a go at 6 at 5/8, which is what they wanted to buy him for initially, supposedly. So he got thrown into that last minute. Did really well. Melbourne obviously held their own in the end there, but yeah, for a Penrith side that sort of chopped and changed to whatever they could throw together in the last minute there. They did really well.
I think who was the other bloke who got thrown in as well? I think it was it Jenkins? I think Jenkins.
At fullback, yeah.
I'll talk a little bit about that later because that's my try. I think he was part of the reason why I got a try of the week in this game. So
yep.
I tell you what, they really did not go away. Hey, it was definitely a grand final rematch delivery, that's for sure. Obviously Storm just a little too good on the day, but geez, they thought they had it and they took their foot off the throat and they nearly got pumped for it. So
yep,
it was close.
Yep. Couple tries there. I think Alamotti got a double. Alamotti did get a double, and To'o got a double. And
To'o returned to form.
Yeah, definitely close to after his injury. You're right, close to nearly clinching it in the end. There.
Well, even in those first two games, he wasn't really looking all that flash. He wasn't his normal self. We really saw him actually turn it up this week and actually say, yeah, look, I'm still that guy. I'm still that man. So
yeah, I think it was more so. I mean, round 1, obviously, he missed in Vegas because of that hammy injury, which I'm pretty sure was it either from the Pacific Championships or maybe the end of last season. Either way, he'd had surgery or whatever. But yeah, he'd missed that one, and then that last week, you're right, the week before, round 2, he just wasn't his normal self, probably just easing back in.
Definitely easing back in, playing it safe.
Until, this week, like you said, bit of return to form. We'll jump onto the Friday night games, which was Warriors versus the Roosters over at Go Media Stadium. Warriors coming away with the win there, so that's 2 on the trot for them. Nice turnaround, like we said, after round 1, where they just didn't seem to have an answer to the Raiders. Yeah, and then Roosters as well. We know Roosters are sort of struggling a bit, but after such a monumental performance the week before against the Broncos, you would have thought there would have been a little bit more.
Bit more to offer, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit more to offer, but unfortunately there just didn't seem to be.
No, and this is what we spoke about in round 1 game. How Raiders had such this dynamic forward pack. But Warriors also had this really good looking forward pack too. So why couldn't they compete?
Yeah.
Well. They showed these bloody Roosters, that's for sure. The forwards did so much work in this game, and they had to spend so much time, effort, and just resources on keeping these forwards down. And all the little blokes just kept scoring outside.
Yeah,
every
big
time.
big fellas doing their job to let the little fellas do their job to finish, which was
Stellar.
bit of classic rugby league.
Textbook rugby league.
That's all you could ask for.
Mm.
So Warriors, coming away with 2 on the trot there, which
I
would
think
be
it was
good for
is it
good for their
Leitao? I
confidence.
think that's his name.
Leitao or Leitao,
yeah.
yeah. Ali Leitao.
Sorry if
maybe.
I'm pronouncing that one wrong. It's a
2,
tough
yeah,
one.
first then last try.
Yeah, got a double. Good
Yep.
on him.
Yep. The second game Friday was the Broncos versus Cowboys, so the Queensland Derby, or the original Queensland Derby anyway. Decent result for a game, I would say, in the end. I mean, it sort of got away in the end there. The Cowboys, as always, seem to drop their heads and let it get away from them, but was within probably 10 or even 12-point margin at most for most of the game, really.
Yeah, most of it.
I mean, it only ended up being 10 points at the end, but yeah, like it was probably the first 20 minutes really big grind, really big battle, which is usually what you come to expect from these sort of games, I think. Broncos obviously going over early. I think they even went into half time with the only points on the board.
That's
Gajewski,
correct,
Gajewski and
And
Reynolds.
literally the first play of the game. The first play of the game in the second half was
Yeah,
the polar bear.
yeah, yep.
Polar bear 2.0 going in.
Yep. So very, very, it was a struggle of a game at the start, The Broncos just couldn't seem to get any position or real solid possession in the end of it, which is what we like to see as Cowboys fans anyway, them actually having a go and playing rugby league.
I mean, that's all we really wanted to see from this game. Like, we didn't. I feel like most people went into this game not expecting a win.
Yeah, that's true.
I feel like most people just went into this game saying, "Hey, let's put on a show.
Yeah.
Let's just put on a show." And I feel like they delivered that. So that was good.
While still riddled with errors and whatnot, I think probably from both sides, really. While still riddled with errors, the Cowboys game was. It wasn't as bad as what you could have expected it to sort of end up like. Haas had an absolutely monumental game. I mean, at the start I thought, geez, he's been a bit quiet. He hasn't really inserted himself too much, but it's almost like I think I cursed it or jinxed it from that point on, because probably, I mean...
Second stint, he flogged them.
Yeah.
He flogged us around.
Proved exactly why he's one of, if not the best forward in the game, but just absolutely steamed onto the ball every time. Broke the line every single time and got himself a try right at the end there as well.
A lot of offloads too.
Yeah, and you're
right.
right.
A lot of offloads.
Yeah, second phase was monumental. Saturday games we'll jump on and have a quick look at was the Sharks and Rabbitohs. This one I probably would have thought the Rabbitohs could have competed a bit more against the Sharks in this one. It wasn't really until right at the end they started trying some trick plays or just chancing their hand a little bit, I guess.
Jeez, that Stone Street try that got bombed.
Yeah,
that would have been try of the season if he just held onto it for a split second longer.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah,
it's always hectic when the wingers can get like that, when they can get so vertical.
Yeah. Yeah, they and Stone Street as well, making a name for himself as one of the better finishers in the game. There's a few of them. But
Jesus, athletic.
Yeah. Hines with, I'd say, probably a little bit of a return to form, sort of being a bit quiet since the start of the season. Obviously, Trindle's had more of a dominant role, and Hines has sort of taken the backseat a little bit. But
and fair play, honestly, because Trindle is having his career best.
Yeah,
best. I think towards the end of last year as well as the start of this year, he's career high, 100%.
Definitely, I agree.
And just touching on Stone Street again, I think he had 3 tries disallowed that game, so that scoreline could have been way, way worse.
Yeah, way definitely. Worse. And like we said, it wasn't until right at the end the Rabbitohs sort of strung something together to get some sort of attack going or points on the board.
Yeah,
I think
last 10.
It was a little bit tough for him because Humphreys, I think, sort of moved into the lock role for a bit there.
Quad daddy.
If not for majority of the game. And then Jaden Sullivan sort of stepped into the 7, was playing and defending in the 7 and stuff like that. So it all sort of was probably a bit off the cuff for them, unfortunately. Yeah. But
I mean, it goes hand in hand with the Bunnies, honestly. I mean, name a Bunny side that hasn't been just like demolished by injury or suspensions in the last 2 years.
Every year almost. It feels
literally last 3 years actually. They've always, it feels like they go in every week with like 3 or 4 people down.
Yeah.
There was a period last year where they went in with like 7 down.
Yeah.
There's nothing left on the bench. They've got like kids coming in like playing for them. It was I mean, it's just telltale bunnies at this point. But geez, when they've got a full side, they really do pack a punch. So
Yep.
and the fact that they can still deliver a punch with their fractured sides as is,
Hmm.
it's going to be an interesting season if they can get their team back together.
Classic Wayne-led team, you would think. You'd probably even want to see 5 or 6 rounds of sample size at least, just to see what they can do outside of losing any more monumental or key players anyway. Just to be able to judge on form fully, you would think.
Yeah, and I mean the fact that they lost Munro, literally round 2, like that's
exactly.
he is the new shit. He is the new winger.
Yeah.
Like, he is that guy.
Yep, new Johnston, you would think, or whatnot.
Bigger than Johnson.
Yeah.
I think he will have a if he can keep his collarbone in check and stop getting injured with that. I think this is his 3rd collarbone injury in his career, in his pretty short career so far.
Possibly, yeah.
If he can keep that collarbone safe, he will be very, very, very good. Very good. I think potentially even like record-breaking good.
Yep.
So quick, so athletic.
The second game for the Saturday was the Tigers and Dolphins. Now, this one probably went the way I think most people were sort of thinking or hoping it would, maybe. I don't know. I mean, honestly, I was hoping the Dolphins would have a bit of a turnaround, but unfortunately not to be. Tigers winning that one 30 points to 18. I don't know. It just seemed like everything for the Tigers is starting to come together.
Well, not just that. I mean, I thought, Finn's getting all their boys back. So Bostock, Nicarima, like it's getting all the Cyclone boys back.
Yeah.
This would be like a really, really tough game, like a really good win for the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Turns out not quite the case. Appy,
not to be.
Both Appy and Luai had severely different ideas. Actually, probably more. To be honest, probably more Appy and Galvin really than Luai. I feel like Luai didn't have as big an impact this game.
Yeah.
Galvin took the main hot seat there, but Appy, man, just watching how he just like hones in on players, realizes their weaknesses and what they're doing at that point in time.
Yeah.
He makes seconds really matter. And he really took this game by the scruff for sure.
Yep.
There was that one try that he got at the end there where he just isolated people, realized they were out of position, and it was literally not more than 2 seconds of thinking. His critical thinking just went snap, bang, I'm in straight away. It was he's got so much experience under his belt. He's going to carry that team.
And now, the fact you've got that Luai Appy combo. I mean, even to a lesser extent, you've got Taruva on the wing, but Galvin as well, definitely, who's leaps and bounds. I mean, he debuted and was great, and come leaps and bounds in one season, it's pretty lethal, most definitely. I think Galvin's, providing he stays there, will be the future of that club. Obviously, everyone's sort of thought that since he's made his good debut, and that he's definitely what they're looking toward.
And I think the greatest part about like having Taruva over there as well is with how stacked that side of the field actually is.
Yeah, definitely.
It forces everyone to invest so much into being over there to stop them.
Yep.
That then Skelton's just free. Like, so hopefully he's not too injured. We'll have to check the injury ward and see how bad the extent of that is.
Ankle or something.
I think it's ankle. Yeah. We'll have to check on that. But man, I tell you what, Skelton got a triple in one of the games, didn't he? He got a hat trick. Then he got and he's just scored every week pretty much since then, except for this week where he got injured. So I mean, I think Taruva also got a hat trick. So
in that game, I believe he got.
I think this one he got 2.
Double in this one, but he has possibly the week prior.
It's clear that like they're going to send everything down that side, and the moment that you start stacking that side against them, they're just going to go over to Skelton and they've got a good dynamic going. It's going to take a bit to work them out, I think. For a lot of teams. So they're going to start putting big W's on the board for sure.
And as well, noticing just that cutback on errors as well, which is probably what they're finally able to build their attack off, not having a ball turnover off something silly.
And that's probably just telltale of having more experienced people in your side, not just having a side full of rookies.
Yeah, definitely. People that want to play.
Or people that actually want to be there too, People that actually care about what Benji's saying, what Benji's trying to do.
Yep. The last game for the Saturday was the Titans versus the Knights, which Yeah, I don't know. Titans. I mean, I would have thought the Knights would have had a little bit more go on them. This is probably one of the ones
Yeah.
where it was sort of a reversal on form of what we've seen so far.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I would have thought the Knights would have had a little bit more to them. But yeah, no, the Titans coming away with quite a solid win, 26 points to 6. Campbell and oh my lord, why am I forgetting his name? Old fullback Brimson.
Mm, Brimmer.
Absolute, yeah, absolute. I would say masterclass, but they really seem to be interlocking as for a half combination. Sorry, as opposed to what they've been trying the last couple of years, which is Brimson at the 6 for a bit, Brimson at fullback for a bit, or Campbell at fullback for a bit, Campbell in the 6 for a bit. So
And it's sort of just moving Campbell, Kinney, and
yeah,
AJ around now.
yeah,
Between the three. So
yeah,
I think Kinney actually played one this game, and I think Brimo was playing the 6. I want to say because Jaden was definitely 7.
Yeah. So moving forward, it seems now that they don't have a couple players there that were sort of getting thrown in the 7 and whatnot, or having the 7 by default. I think it looks like possibly they're going to go with Keeney at fullback full time as opposed to the other two fighting it out to see who's going to be the fullback.
Severely prefer.
Yeah,
I need to say that. I mean,
yeah.
Kinney, he's too. I don't. I think you could have him eat for a year and he still wouldn't put on the size needed to become like someone with a bit of a frame about
Front
him.
line defense, maybe.
Yeah,
Who knows?
like,
Yeah,
I think he has to be fullback.
yeah.
You can't put him in the 6. I don't think that's worth it. I think with AJ's natural running ability, he has to be a 6 and he has to work with Jaden on that.
Yeah, he's had a lot of time at fullback and he's done well at times. Don't get me wrong, but aside from injury, obviously ending seasons or sitting him down for quite a while. But yeah, it just seems like this combination's probably going to be more what the Titans need. He's still able to utilize that running game. His Campbell as well at 7, they can both swap and that experience he's got. But
I mean, look, I feel like since we've been
Yeah.
doing the potty as well, I've since I've been watching a lot more games as well, I've just never really truly ever been sold on AJ as a fullback. I've always felt that. I've never been sold on it. And the more that I see Kinney play as well, is the more that I'm more sold on Kinney playing fullback. So
yeah,
he's a very destructive fullback, I think, and I think AJ can still use his talents from playing the one position, but doing it as a 6 and linking up with Jaden more often. I think that's got to be the way forward, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. Kept the Knights at bay, which I mean they'd seemed pretty potent the first couple rounds, really. I mean, obviously
Ponga really went missing here.
Yeah, obviously Ponga being the key to their attack for most of it, but
Same with Fletcher Sharp. I mean,
shutting Sharp and Ponga down, really. Yeah,
and I still think they need to have Sharp as a winger. I am 100% on that. I think he's a very talented kid, but I think forcing him into the role he's playing right now, into the halves, I don't think that's where he should be. I think he needs to be a winger. I think he needs to have that sort of that focus off him, and just play his own game. And his own game is his running ability, his speed, and his athleticism. And he can play off Ponga so brilliantly, and they've shown it before, time and time again. And it's the same sort of thing as the Tigers, right? When Sharp is playing on a wing, everyone's forced to play so many people against him, otherwise they can't deal with him. So, like, the moment they start forcing all these people over the other side of the field, then you start seeing Bradman going in, you start seeing Marju going in more. Like, they need to have him on a wing. They need to have him on a wing. They need to find another answer.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know what his issue is with Brayley. I guess he wants him to either be a hooker or F off, for lack of a better term. I don't know.
Yeah, I think in terms of Brayley, I'm pretty sure he's already signed with the Raiders, so he'd be on his way out of the Knights. They've obviously picked Crossland ever since I think that good year they had a couple of years ago. They've stuck with Phoenix, which was interesting because he'd been bouncing around for a while too, and only just sort of found a decent little bit of form, I guess, there in hooker on that run. But a few people in a few different spots, just working them out until they get in the right sort of combination or the right spot for them, for lack of a better term, I think, at the Knights, which still building it seems. Sunday games, we had the first cab off the rank was the Bulldogs versus the Eels. This one was actually quite close as well. This was one where I think as an Eels fan, you got to be happy in the sense of it wasn't shellacking like they actually did. They did have a decent go this time. The defense was better, and in some instances, the attack was as well. Unfortunate. I mean, again, another new halves pairing, Volkman being dropped. And Dean Hawkins coming in at halfback, but yeah, just a few times. I mean, again, a couple of errors and stuff like that. Defensive reads and that gone wrong. I mean, Penasini had a really good try, but then the other side of the coin ended up making a few bad defensive errors, which led to a couple tries on his edge, him and Adokar's edge. So,
The
yeah.
last thing I saw of this game, because I didn't actually get to watch these last two games in full. I only got to watch the first half of this game, or the first 30 minutes or so. I think I saw Wilson go in, and I was like, well, there goes this game. And then I went off to go do jobs for the boss. But I thought, yeah, there goes this game, And then I checked the app when it was like 70 minutes in, and I've gone,
yeah.
Hold up.
Yeah, how is the score not any higher? Yeah, exactly.
Not only is the score not higher, but like these Eels are actually like packing punches, bro. They're actually they're seriously dealing up in defense. And I think from what I got told, there was potentially a dud call against the Eels towards the end of the game there, which could have at least locked it up a little bit, but they decided to hit him with a 50-50 and go for the Dogs' way, and unfortunately just wound the clock down. Last 10.
Yeah. I think it was. There were a few very odd calls in that game. I think the main one, which everyone was talking about, the main point of contention was the ref calling unsportsmanlike conduct, I believe it was, for Josh Curran, who was posing as the ref, I'm assuming, from what I understand. He was yelling off in the tackle, as the ref would, before calling a 6 again, trying to get the quick play of the ball for the player that was about to play the ball, obviously, and the ref took umbrage to it and awarded a penalty for unsportsmanlike conduct, which...
Don't you listen to what they say, Josh. Keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, I don't know, very, very odd, because I see week in, week out a lot worse unsportsmanlike conduct, especially in that game. Worse unsportsmanlike conduct, you could say, where they're manipulating the game or even the ref, but... Hey, you chose that one to call out and make a point of. So.
I mean, take any Roosters game ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
Like, pick any round you want and find me. Pick any Roosters, any Penrith game. Pick any game of those, like those sort of top big New South Wales sort of teams. Yeah, shit, even Broncos. Honestly, let's be real. Let's chuck them in there as well, where they're not having some sort of a stern word with a ref. Like over some call, like that's hilarious.
Or even just the the niggle in the tackle or anything, trying to manipulate a call or make something seem like something it wasn't. But odd one to call out. But yeah, a good win from the Dogs. They gritty win. They hung in the end there.
Pretty safe. I mean, look, it sounds like the inclusions of Addo-Carr and the inclusions of there was another one who came back this week. Who came back? Safe to say the inclusions in general of the people who were out coming back into the side this week made a difference defensively, which is good.
Yep.
That's good. When do the Eels get their first win? Is the real question.
Yeah, exactly.
Is it when Moses comes back, or do they have an easier game they can maybe pick off?
They can't be, as a team, you can't be waiting until round 6 or 7 or even more at this stage, because we know...
That's what I'm concerned about with
Cows. We know... We know with his injuries specifically anyway, they tend to take longer than suggested or diagnosed initially for him to sort of come back from. And I mean, if need be, that's what you got to do, because you want him to come back full strength and not going to get injured again. But yeah.
Realistically, what they should be really hoping for right now is that there's no other major injuries before he does come back. So, like, I mean, look at Addo-Carr. Like, he's an injury waiting to happen usually. So hopefully he's kept safe for at least for a little bit, and so they can try and get a bit of form going.
Yep. Yes, and we'll jump on to the final game of the round, the Sunday game, which was Sea Eagles versus Raiders. Absolute masterclass from the Sea Eagles, from Garrick, first of all. 4 tries.
Yeah, 4 tries to this bloke, and then also I think Bullymore getting a double as
He
well.
did, yeah, early on in the first. Oh, there you go, 2 minutes
That's
fucking apart from each other. So that's something else.
that has got to be his. That's got to be a career first. Is that a career first double for Bullymore? Maybe, surely.
You would think so, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
It's just unprecedented from the Raiders. Unfortunately, you wouldn't have seen that coming after what we'd seen the first couple of weeks, aiming up in defence and just being so tough, like you've said a couple times already. But just I don't know, helter skelter a bit. It threw them and they were gone. I mean, it seemed to sort of stem off the back of the big red old Horsburgh sin bin. For a professional foul.
Yeah,
So,
Ricky was saying something about this. I did see the presser. I didn't see the game, but I did see the presser. Ricky was very upset with the amount of 6 again calls against his team.
Yeah.
And he was very upset with how the sin binning went, but he didn't want to talk about it, obviously, because if he did, he'd probably get
Another fine.
How much money do you reckon he's paid back?
Yeah, exactly. Surely they've got enough to hire some more referees or, upgrade the bunker by now.
Jeez, you'd fucking hope. But...
but absolutely, not taking anything away from the Seagulls. They dominated in that moment, and then for the rest of the game, really, even after Horse came back, they were still quite dominant.
I mean, look, if you've got big boys and centers and going through for most of the game, let's talk about your defense. Let's not talk about
a lot of them. A lot of them were just off like grubbers, little kicks and stuff like that. Garrick just finishing things. Really, it wasn't so much him going himself, but there were a couple of times there he looked like he'd run away, and he could have even possibly gone himself as well to make it like 5 tries, if not more. But
I mean, I don't know about you, but I went into this game is tipped going no turbo, no win. So
turbo or possibly even DC as well, being just they're keeping an eye on him anyway after last week with that lower back twinge or whatever he had. Yeah,
it looked like very nasty spasms as well. He did not like it on the field at all.
They probably have that luxury, though, talking about that Manly, where they can just throw Lehigh into fullback and almost get not so much exactly 1-for-1, but still something quality.
Still something high quality, because he's a stellar young player.
Having Garrick there, they've got so many decent outside backs and that.
Let's not talk about his family, though.
Yeah, they got so many decent outside backs there, as well as Saab out on the wing, Kohler back as well. You know what I mean? Yeah, it just... They're pretty flush with some skill at the moment. But yeah, good win from Manly there. Jumping on to round 4, this weekend's games. We'll have a quick squiz starting off at Thursday, being Rabbitohs versus Panthers. Now, very odd to see this. It is only round 4, but 11th place versus 12th place, which is Rabbitohs 11th versus Panthers in 12th.
This goes to show that you can't really talk shit on Panthers for the run that they've started with.
Yeah,
they've got probably one of the tougher runs in the comp. Probably next to, I'd probably say Kaz have one of the tougher runs, really. But Panthers have one of the toughest runs at the start of the comp, for sure.
Yeah.
This year, which is a nice change, quite frankly. This is a bit of a nothing game, really. I can't see Rabbits getting close to Penrith on this one. I really can't.
Yeah, after last week's efforts in that, you would have to think Wayne would be into them and turn them around, but really after, like we'd said, after what we'd seen from a Penrith team that just was wasn't all over the shop, but got thrown all over the shop last minute, got thrown a massive curveball.
And they could still nearly compete to the Storm.
Dealt with it quite well, exactly right. You would have to think they've got the ability to put the Rabbits away. Not to say, the Rabbits won't compete. I'm sort of hoping they do, because they have seemed like they are here to play. So far this season, but I think they've still got Lachlan Hubner or whatever out for another week from suspension, so you'll probably see Tallis Duncan and Jai Arrow or whatnot sharing that lock spot possibly. I don't.
Yeah, probably Jai.
Don't know what'll happen there, but
actually, it'll be Tallis for sure.
Yeah. I don't know what the teams will look like. Really, can't be too much different. I imagine Humphreys will still keep that 7 spot, even though Sullivan got a bit of a go just to try and get something happening last week. But yeah, I think even Cleary, has to miss this game due to his concussion ruling or whatever. It has to be 11-day stand down, and that'll be within the 11 days. So you'll probably see exactly the same setup. Might have a Cole in 7. Otherwise, yeah, they do have a few others sitting waiting in the wings for a shot this year. So I've got to think, man, Panthers probably
They will probably use this time to blood blaze anyway.
yeah.
They'll probably use
It
this
would
time
be
to
smart.
blood blaze.
Would be smart. Especially having Jenkin at fullback there and
Yeah.
doing all right. I think maybe Edwards is only out for 1 or 2 weeks maximum.
2 weeks.
I think
Yeah.
supposedly, but yeah, you would think the team would stay pretty similar. Yeah, you're right. Giving Blaze that shot, and in a game like this where it's not going to be, you wouldn't think too tough of them to get some sort of rhythm going. So I think I'll probably go Panthers on that one.
I will definitely be going Panthers.
Yep. Friday night's game, Roosters versus Titans. What are you thinking about this one?
This is a tough one, man. This is actually a tough one. I've currently got Titans locked in. Bit of Queensland spirit there, but this could honestly go either way. This is one of those games where it's just who rocks up on the day. Honestly, who rocks up? Is it?
Yeah, I agree.
Is it the Titans from this week or is it the Titans from last week? Is it
Yeah.
the Roosters from this week or is it the Roosters from last week?
Yep. I agree.
I think, given just how the teams look, I think is Watson on that 11-day as well, or is he only on just the 1 week? From this week?
I think it will be 11-day stand down. So I would
He did
imagine.
cop a real nasty elbow. Like I thought it was his leg it looked like his leg that got buckled, but I think his leg only
Just the
buckled
way
because
he
he
fell.
got
Yeah.
massive elbow to the head. So,
Yeah. Yep.
look, I'm gonna stick with Titans on this one. I think just between Kenny Campbell and Kenny Campbell and probably who's on
Brimson?
not Brimson. Who's on the wing? It's that other wing. It's not Kelly.
Pereira.
It's Khan Pereira. Yeah. I think between that sort of triangle, I think Roosters are just going to struggle on that edge, man. I think they're really going to struggle down that edge. You're going to see Titans going right side, quite aggressively. Quite aggressively. Sorry, they're going to go left edge rather aggressively. But I think when they do that as well, that's where Tino comes in again. That like Tino scored the first game back.
Yeah. Dominant.
Just based off being the man in the middle.
Yeah.
Ready to take a ball when they stack the side against him. So
massively instrumental against whoever he's been playing. Really, the first or second 2 rounds rather. They had to buy the first round.
There's a bit of house about him this year.
Yeah,
I will
definitely. That coming back from that injury, he's come back strong so far. So you can see he's really put the effort in the year off during his rehab and recovery. And that I do like that idea. I think, being down at Roosters home, I do think they'll probably turn it up a bit better than last week. But yeah, I don't know what the team's going to look like, and they're already sort of as a full 1 to 17. They're already sort of got a few reserves or people backups in there at the moment. So I don't know whether they're going to have the men to put a solid performance together, or solid enough performance rather, I should say, against the Titans coming off last week's win. So yeah, I think I'll go Titans on that too.
I'm really liking what they've got now, the Titans.
Yep.
And
Yep.
unfortunately, Roosters gave away all their big ones that the big players that actually matter to their aggressiveness.
Yeah.
Losing Tupanua was, I don't know what they were thinking letting him go.
Would have been handy to have him now. Definitely.
Same with May.
May, yeah. Oh, May, massive one. That's one we probably forgot to touch on in that Tigers game.
Because he also had a big game too on meters. So
yeah, so far, just every game so far. I think I'll go Titans. The same with you on that one, man. Friday, second game is the Battle of Brisbane. Dolphin versus the Broncos up at Suncorp there. This one could be good. After what we saw last week, I think this one could be good. It has the potential. Cowboys not getting absolutely pumped, but taking it to the Broncos initially anyway.
I think this is a bit of a dark horse game.
Yeah,
man.
I do. I think the Dolphins have that ability. Disappointing last week to see the effort and what happened anyway, but
I think Dolphins defend better than Cowboys do.
Yeah, I would have to agree.
And I think they attack better than Cowboys do right now too. So I think if the Broncos go into the Dolphins game like they went into the Cows game,
thinking it'll be too easy.
They might cop a bit of a steaming.
Yep.
the only issue that I've got with this game is that Dolphins seem to have this little point towards the end of their game in that sort of 60 to 70th minute. It's definitely to do with interchange, 100%.
Yep.
But it's between 50 and 70th minute.
Yep.
There's like a little 20-minute period between interchanges where they lack a little intensity and they let it get away from them.
Yeah.
And that was that happened in this week. So.
Yep. Yeah, and they're not going to be able to do that if the Broncos do improve on their form from last week. Tighten up a few loose ends and stuff like that. I mean, Walsh had a very average game to his standard last week against the Cowboys. If he can, get his head right, then
there's a lot to do with that Broncos game where there's a lot of individual gameplay going on.
Yeah,
as opposed to team gameplay
all over the show. Yeah,
when they're playing team gameplay, they flog teams.
Yep.
When they play individual gameplay,
they
get done. So they need to work on that.
Obviously, we haven't had team lists just yet either, but I think. No, Shibasaki will probably keep it. I think it's more 4 to 6 weeks. I think was the injury there. So I think Shibasaki is going to stay in his position for a little while yet. But just if they can, which I think Madge will drill it into them. If he can get them to tighten up a few loose ends there, I think it might just be a bit hard for the Dolphins. I'll probably look. I'm going to go a left field, and I'm going to tip the Dolphins in this one, just because I agree. I tend to think it's going to be a dark horse game, but if that's all it just takes the Broncos to come out and underestimate them a little bit. I think they can get the jump slightly.
They underestimated Bostock heavily this week.
Yeah, 100%.
Bostock came back and they didn't invest a single man to him, and he scored in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, exactly right.
They got a ball out to him, and he just did him on his own, man.
Yeah. Yep.
That's the thing. You underestimate some of their players. Their players will punish you. Farnworth is a big one. I think he also scored this week.
He did Farnworth,
He had a blinder this week.
Yep.
A lot of runs on him.
Yep.
They've got a lot of players that just have that individual talent where if you don't give them the respect they deserve, then they will do you for sure.
Make you pay. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, so I think I'll probably go Dolphins on this one. What about yourself?
This is I think this is my smoky. I'm gonna go with the Fins up. The Fins will be up for this one.
Fins up. Alrighty. So Fins for the Battle of Brisbane. I think to finally come away with the win. I think they haven't beaten the Broncos as of yet in the Battle of Brisbane. So could be setting a precedent on this one. So Saturday's games we'll jump onto and have a quick look at now. Dragons versus Storm. What are you thinking on this one? I mean, it seems pretty clear cut, but
it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard to take someone. It's gonna be hard to get anyone to tip against the Storm right now.
Yep.
Storm, they're just, man. Even when they're not locked in and they're just playing backyard footy with people, which is disgusting that they can play backyard footy with people.
Yep.
They're just so clinical.
Yep.
They're so clinical. And I think even with this New Look Dragons outfit, which doesn't really look all that hot yet, I think they have work to do for sure. Storm for sure.
Yep.
For me.
Yeah, I've been back in the Dragons. Obviously, had the bye last week, but the first couple rounds, just because I hadn't seen, they've got a team full of stars now, or more stars anyway, especially considering who they've lost this year. But yeah, they just haven't been able to get the job done as of yet, unfortunately. I really think it's going to take them probably a fair few rounds, maybe even closer to round 10 before they get something solid going. I mean, they're on the verge, they're on the cusp. Tuipulotu on that wing, just finishing tries like there's no tomorrow.
I feel like with the amount of money and time they invested into getting this team together, like I think the only other team that did anything close to this was Tigers.
Yeah.
This is like a completely reformatted team.
It is
from all angles, whether it's winger, whether it's center, whether it's fullbacks, like
even Eels to a lesser extent. It seems like it's they've gone through a pretty sizable rebuild anyway, relatively. But yeah,
I feel like
you're
Eels
right.
haven't really made the same sort of purchases that outside of Adokar. Adokar's a big one, but he was kind of free after he got done in for the he was looking for somewhere. He was rattling looking for a mate.
He was rattling the can, asking for a club. Definitely.
I just with the amount of money and time invested into this team, I'm shocked to see like their starting results. Like
Yeah.
they should be seeing the same sort of thing the Tigers are seeing, in my opinion, with the
Yep.
amount of money they've spent.
Yep. And I think so far, I mean, really, the games that have lost them, but they've only been relatively close. They haven't been shellacking, so has been all right, but they also haven't come up yet against a team like the Storm. This is their first real big test or real big game of the season. So,
Yeah. I mean, and thankfully for them, it's at home. But like the Storm have got a pretty good record at Jubilee as well. So
yeah, yep.
I think the Storm are going to come down there and make them pay. I think the only thing that's going against the Storm really is that they're statistically not very good at the Arvo games.
Yeah.
So
Yep. Yeah, I think, like we said, probably pretty clear cut in terms of result on this one, unfortunately. But yeah, I'll be going the Storm for sure on this, but I would be expecting to see some sort of decent competition from the Dragons at least.
yeah, sure.
Saturday's second game is up here in Townsville, Cowboys versus the Raiders.
Now, I don't care what anyone says on this one because I felt disgusting last week not tipping the Cows. But this week I will be tipping them no matter what.
Yeah,
I think this is going to be a close game.
I agree. I was bragging about tipping the Cowboys despite coming up against the Broncos, but it turned out I hadn't. Whether it had defaulted or whatever I'd done, I'd actually won that tip, which was an odd one, so I could have been part of the problem last week. But yeah,
you the curse.
yeah, it could be. I think I agree. I'm probably going to go with them in terms of turnaround and form. It's been improving week on week. Still not where it needs to be.
I think the other thing for me is that the Raiders they're not very good when they have this short turnaround.
Yeah, but
and
also
Ricky is
a big trip too.
Ricky is very he's very talkative about this. He hates it. Ricky is well known to talk about how he hates the fact that teams can be placed on these 6-day turnaround sort of thing. And I agree. I think it's also disgusting as well. I don't think they should be like. This is like if they have to play on a Sunday, they should have to. They should probably be given some sort of grace. Whether it's being given the nighttime game instead, or whether it's being given another Sunday game until they can get a fair turnaround on the timing side of things.
Or try to line it up at least with a home game or something where they're not travelling. Because I mean, if you got people playing on Sundays, then the argument would be they can only ever play on Sundays, sort of thing. But if they're travelling, which they are, they're making quite a trip, and it's completely different climate. So
it's like polar opposite climates. And we're currently still in the middle of our wet season up here, obviously. So it's
quite humid still.
It's very humid. It's also very wet. But it's hard to deal with up here, and on this short turnaround,
not what they'll be used to. The Raiders definitely. Yeah, we do see them struggle usually with the humidity and that. Coming up here, and yeah, like you said, being an afternoon game, 4:30, but still that means nothing when it's the sun's still up.
That's muggy as hell right there. Yeah, I just don't see it. I think Cows are actually going to have a big advantage here, so I'm going to be going Cows.
Yep, and I mean the odds are looking pretty well even at the moment without team lists being named. Obviously,
it's $2 split between them.
Yeah, so they're. I think this is probably the best chance they've had so far. The Cowboys on terms of form. Change of form or improvement on form and that, and who they're coming up against. It's not going to be easy at all because I think, again, after last week, after what happened there, not scoring until probably the 60th minute or so and getting absolutely belted around the park prior to that, Ricky's going to give it to them and have them up and ready to go. But yeah, I think we're probably on the verge of being up for it or on the verge of being able to get over the top on this one. So I'll be giving the Cowboys mine for this one.
100%.
The last game on the Saturday, 6:35, is Bulldogs versus the Sharks. Now, this one could be, I mean, again, very odd to look at, only 4 rounds in, but second Bulldogs versus 6th place Sharks. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I tend to think the Sharks are probably going to get up for this one, but it really feels like it could be anyone's game.
This is a very smoke and mirrors game for sure. It could go absolutely either way. I think no one's got it right between the bookies or the tippers. Personally, I will be going Sharks on this one just because I'm infatuated by some of their players.
Yeah,
like I just this is a game of real feeling. This one here in particular, like I like really watching Connor Tracy at the moment.
Yeah,
but man, watching players like Stone Street and watching players like Trindle.
Yeah.
even to some extent, Will Kennedy. Will Kennedy's having a breakout year as well, and like the old boy, he's pulled his socks up for his last years for sure. These are all players that are incredible to watch. For that reason, I'm going to go the Sharks because I think that they have just this athletic team that can really put up a great game. And even if the Bulldogs do get me here, fair play because they're playing fucking great too, and I love watching the Doggies as well. So
yeah, I mean, last week aside, which was a bit of a tough grind out for them, not to be able to put the Eels to bed earlier. Yeah, have been doing very well. I mean, the form's continued on from last year, from what we'd seen from the Bulldogs, which is exciting for them. I don't know. And Sharks again can be up or down on any day, but
honestly, the re-inclusion of Curran back into the side as well, for
big help.
Dogs has been
big help. And then
incredible.
Talking about Tupanua leaving the Roosters earlier,
and
picking him up very handy for them, definitely.
Having Jerry and Satilli on the same team is
very handy. Perfectly fills in well for Kikau. Does a great job. But I think probably more or less the safe tip on this one, you would think, but even though it is going to be a pretty close game, I think. But yeah, I'll go the Sharks on this one.
I might change that tip. I've got Sharks currently, but we'll see how I feel as the days go on.
Even wait for team lists to see if there's any changes or anything sort of going on there. I mean, Bulldogs without Burton obviously is rough, but they just sort of seem to find a way to hang in there. Sunday's games: Seagulls versus the Eels. Again, another one you would think would be pretty clear cut, right? Yeah.
Eels, psych.
Yeah, Manly. Yeah. You would think Seagulls are going to come away with the win on this one. It is at 4 points.
As a proud North Queensland man, you'll never see me tip the Eels.
Yeah. You would think it's going to be a pretty tough one for the Eels, regardless, but pretty tough one down at 4 Pines Park. They're going to hear about it. They just. Yeah, haven't, whilst improving or made improvements, we said that. We'd seen that last week in comparison to the first couple of rounds. I just don't think it's anything coming up against a red hot Sea Eagle side, unfortunately for them. Yeah.
Yeah, the sun is never going to explode.
Yeah.
Valet the punters and dribblers. Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, Dean. Oh, I mean, again, we'll have to wait for team list, but I have a feeling Dean Hawkins will be at halfback again, because he did offer a little bit more, it felt, than Volkman, or had a little bit more experience there, a little bit more go forward. But
I just don't see them having anyone to sort of combat anyone on the Eels, on the Eagles rather. Yeah. I just don't. You just look at the matchup between each player, just from an individual perspective. It's just a game of massive mismatch. Mismatch.
Even Brown hasn't really offered much. He should be sort of stepping up a bit. But
he's got no one to play off.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
All he's got in his game at the moment is throw a ball to Penasini and pray he can do something with it.
Yeah. Yep. And which
he's got no Blaze anymore to work with.
Yeah, which we've seen not come off multiple times, unfortunately.
Yeah. It's just slim pickings for the Eels right now. It's a similar situation to the Cows. A lot of the buys don't make sense.
Yeah.
A lot of the player loss has been costly. And then on top of that, with injury concerns as well, it's just, I can't see it. There's not a world I envision it.
Yep. I've got to go see Eagles on this one.
Eagles for sure.
Fortunately, Eagles fans. Sunday's game, last one of the round, being West Tigers versus Warriors. This one's shaping up to be a pretty decent game, I think. Is in Campbelltown, so Warriors are travelling over for it. But despite them being at home, I think they've been pretty good games the last couple of weeks. The Warriors have come away with the win, so you would hope they're going to carry that momentum into this. Tigers, again, another one. Pretty, I wouldn't say red hot, but pretty hot at the moment. They've found a bit of form and they're running with it. They seem to be improving week in, week out.
But we'll have to see how they deal with a team that is so forward centric.
Yeah, yep.
They haven't really had that yet.
Yeah, not as of yet. Yeah,
this is going to be the first time they've come up to a team
big bodies.
Where they've got some boppers, bro.
Yep.
They've got some big boppers.
Which the Tigers, like you mentioned earlier, having May. They do have him, which is quite handy, but he may not find it as easy to break through the line and bend the line every time now, which he's been amazing at and getting his offloads and that every game so far. He might be a bit more of a contest for him, which yeah, like you said, Warriors having that bigger side, yeah.
I think the other thing that sort of goes against the Warriors here is that they're not very good at Campbelltown.
Yeah.
Not statistically, anyway.
Yeah, traveling is a bit hard for him sometimes, definitely. Look, I'm going to go Tigers. I think I'm going to go Tigers because I'm just liking what I'm seeing so far, but that's not me counting the Warriors out. I think they definitely have the ability so far to at least compete, if not come away with the win in this.
Between tippers and bookies, I don't think anyone really has a damn idea on this one. I think this is going to be down to the wire.
Yeah, definitely.
We haven't even had a game of Golden Point this year. Wouldn't shock me if this one was it. Wouldn't shock me if this one was it.
Exactly right. Could very well be it. Yeah, I think Tigers for me on this one.
I've got Tigers currently, but I will wait to see team lists and see what they do with the Skelton issue as well.
Yeah, definitely.
We already know that Skelton isn't going to be in, but who do they put in for Skelton is the real question. The other thing with that is the matchup between, because on Skelton's side. Who is Skelton's side?
On the Warriors we're talking?
Yeah, I think it's...
Could be looking at Tuapiki possibly, I think. It's either Tuapiki or it was at one point... Oh, no. Oh, yeah, it must be. It might be Tuapiki. I have a feeling that we won't know till team lists are out anyway, I would imagine, man.
Yeah, it'll be tomorrow when they announce it. But if it's Tuapiki, That's going to be a tough go for the Tigers because Tuapiki he's pretty quickie.
And who are they slotting in there? Looking at that Skelton situation, turns out it's a hamstring, not an ankle. I thought it was a hamstring. An ankle when he went down. Whether it maybe something where he did have an ankle complaint.
Hang on a minute. Did Roger do his hemi as well?
Yes, and Roger was the other one who got injured or come away injured after that game last week. So we'll have to see with him what the extent is in terms of how long he's going to be out for. But
okay, that does even things up a little bit. I might tentatively lock in Tigers now. Then
leaning more towards the Tigers.
Leaning more towards Tigers on that one.
While we're looking at injuries too.
Oh my God! Look at that Roosters and Rabbits thing, bro. That's
absolutely decimated.
That is rough to even see.
We'll have a quick look at Cleary here. So Edwards round 5. So yeah, still another 2 weeks yet until Edwards is back. But Cleary for his head knock, he'll miss this week. So we will we'll have to wait and see any more news on those guys there. Unfortunately, for Panthers fans, it's still not going to be a full strength side, but I think they're probably pretty happy with who they've got filling in there.
Rabbits get Johnson back next week.
He should be ready to go this week, supposedly, after that Achilles injury. Yeah, whether he gets named or not.
Troll back in round 5.
Yeah, we could see Johnston, come back in on that wing spot there, and slot straight back in. I mean, I'm sure he's hoping.
I feel like based on that, your first win for the Rabbits could be 6. Getting Munro and Aiken back the same week is pretty big.
Yep.
Gives them a bit of solid forward power there.
Yep.
And their star winger back. So.
Yep. That's probably it for round 3 and 4. There hasn't been any real massive news really this week. I think one thing we forgot to touch on in the first podcast was the Dylan Brown signing to the Knights. It was all the talk, but it's all being confirmed. Once it comes into play next year, it'll be the richest NRL deal in history, superseding Walsh's. I think it was 1.2, 1.3 a season. Dylan's on a big 10-year contract for 1.4. So the Knights, after looking and pairing and trying everything under the sun for the last 2 to 3 years, have gone out and bought a decent half. Whether it's going to be the answer to their questions or whether it's going to cause more contention down the line and they're going to look at losing other players just based on not being able to afford them anymore. We will see, but that's one of the big movers for next year already locked in, as well as Brandon Smith confirmed to the Rabbitohs.
Yeah, for me, the big one was Brendan to Rabbitohs. I think someone like Brandon Smith really needs He needs a daddy. He needs he needs a
someone to
father
set him
figure.
straight. Yeah.
Someone to really kick him in the ass a little bit.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
I think having someone like Wayne as your coach
Yep.
is
Very handy.
not just very handy, but you'd have to really argue integral for someone like Brendan, who bit of a troubled kid.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Like you said, needs that figure just to
Keep
to
him
set him straight and
Mm.
unlock his true potential. Maybe get him back to that form we once knew him to have it at the Storm there under Bellamy. Anything in particular else? I mean, you got your try of the week coming up, definitely.
yeah, I mean, I've got Brayley as well. Was the other move? Yeah.
Yeah, to the Raiders
To the
next year.
Raiders
confirmed.
next year.
Yep.
Yeah, we
Yep.
touched on it a little bit there, but that was the other big move I thought was pretty interesting. I feel like he's probably had enough of being fucked around, and I feel like it's probably about time, you know.
But probably best for both parties. I mean,
Best for both, yeah.
plagued by injury there at the Knights, and just once he was at form or at the top of his form, just couldn't seem to go a whole season without getting injured, unfortunately. So,
To be fair, though, they wouldn't really give him a go anyway, really.
yeah, I mean, he did. He had that couple years ago, 3 years ago, I think is when it all started. I think he did an Achilles, but his ACLs and stuff, he was having a blinder. Had an amazing season. But yeah, that's it. Since that injury started, he's come back, and then they've eased him back in, and then in that time, like you're saying, they've given, out of necessity, given Phoenix Crosland a go, and since then he's never been able to just come back in and take that spot back. They've obviously decided Crosland's their way of the future and what they're going with. So, yeah, probably just best for
both parties at this point. Yeah,
he's going to get his run at the Raiders there, and Phoenix will get to keep the hooker spot. Probably won't be on as bigger money, but yeah.
Wouldn't have been my first choice, but you know what?
Yep.
All the power to him.
Yep.
Best of luck.
Yep.
Beyond that, I think for try of the week. Try of the week was a pretty clear-cut one for me. It's a shame. I'll give an honourable mention as well to the Stone Street's try, like I did a little bit earlier, but because Stone Street's try, even though it was no try, if he just held it for that split second more, that was try the season for sure. He was so vertical and so out that the fact that he was still in with the ball was wild. But
try attempt of the season so far, we might call it.
Of the season, for sure. But the actual try of the week is definitely going to Paul Alamotti, 100%. We don't need to talk too much about the Panthers. We know they're great. We know they're bloody great. But geez, it was a special passage of play. I think it went from Jenkins to Cole, from Jenkins to Cole, from Cole to Tunga to Alamotti. It was just clean. He was out of the. It was pretty much. I'm not going to say it was carbon copy of Stone Street's. He was definitely more horizontal than he was vertical, but that even still, it was pretty athletic.
Impressive.
And it was impressive stuff. It really was.
Yep.
So Paul Alamotti, you're a beast.
Yep. Very nice. We'll have a look at the fantasy pickup of the week this week, but I think this one's probably even a carryover from last year. If you haven't started with this player, then I don't know what you're doing. Taylor May. Sorry. We've got Taylor May on the mind at the Tigers at the moment because we'll talk about them signing him and the May brothers being back together. I don't think the NRL can handle another run of that. But
signal the Batman flag.
But anyway, yeah. Terrell May, absolute beast. Now, we spoke on it earlier, just absolutely bending the line or breaking the line on every run. He is $782K at the moment, so he's quite pricey. He's right up there with your Haas's and that, but I think if you haven't gotten Haas or Yo just yet, Haas more so, you've missed the boat. I think you're going to be paying top price, closer to $1 million for him going forward, whereas May, I think you've still just got time to get in, averaging like 60 points a game at the moment. I think we'll even have a quick look at what it is. But 73, there you go. Last 3-round average is 73 points, which is
That's
massive.
insane.
Yeah, huge for a fantasy
insane for
score.
A forward.
Yeah, exactly right. So yeah, if you haven't got May yet, pick him up and chuck him in. He's one that you can chuck the captain on, like I did last week in a pinch. And unfortunately, the person I played had it on Haas, so they got a nice big 200 and something points, while I ended up getting, I think, around 100 and 140 might have been. But yeah, absolute all effort from him, and I think he's going to be a real key to the Tigers moving forward this season.
Big time.
Yep. That's probably it for everything this week. We've sort of touched on most of the, well, obviously the results, but most of the big movements and signings and all that stuff. Yeah, I mean, we've got a couple good rounds of footy. It's good to have it back, but we've got a couple good rounds of footy ahead of us, and I think before we know it, I mean, it's only really a month until we start talking about Magic Round at this stage, really. Magic Round and then Origin selections as well. So yeah. I mean, expect to see some real big efforts from players, I think, in the next few weeks, and hopefully return to form for some others there. Was there anything else for you this week?
I think we got it all, man.
Very nice. As always, thanks for tuning in. You guys know where to hit us. There'll be links in the bio for these podcasts and whatnot, as always. But thanks for tuning in for another week, and we will see you next time.